Hello, everybody. Welcome to Inside IM. My name is Ocean, and with me, I have today three individuals from very different fields, but they all fall under the aegis of finance. And finance does come with a lot of career choices and options for you to go with. But today, we'll talk about the three options that a lot of you might be considering in the future or perhaps are already a part of. How do these career options, being a CA, a CFA, or an MBA, compare to each other? And to top it all off with you, we have two more designations here in the house today, which is CS and FRM. So my three guests have five designations in all. And you can imagine what this conversation is going to be like based on just that. But I'll get into the details with you shortly. Before that, let me tell you a little about our guests today. We have Shivam Palan, who's a CA, and he's also a serial founder. He's found two ventures so far and also has his own YouTube channel. He's obviously a CA, that's his designation. We have Vishal. He's a FRM, he's a CA, and I'm probably missing one more designation, which is the CFA. Then he's currently working with Mirai Asset Investment Management, and he'll talk to us today about all these fields as well. Finally, we have Umang, who is All India Rank 3 CA, All India Rank 3 CS, and he's currently a student at IIM Bangalore. So these are our three guests. I welcome you all and thank you so much for joining me today. Let's dive deep into our conversation straight ahead. What are your fields all about? Let's just give our audience a brief of what it's like to be a CA, CFA, CS or FRF. Let me put this question across to you first, Shivam, and then I'll pass it on to the others as well.
Right. First of all, I would like to thank Inside IM for giving this opportunity to me and speak around this topic. So first of all, I'll brief about what is CA all about. So generally, ये कहा जाता है, or generally it's said that the CA is done for one purpose. It is called as a respect. That's true, because the day you become a chartered accountant, people start looking at you with a respect around, and it's like some sort of feeling. I could say it's like Puni Bhagwan ban gaya, something sort of. But yes, jokes apart, but CA is more about a respect. It's more about a trust. It's more about giving advices or guidances to the people around. And coming to the work about the CAs and stuff. So we, being a chartered accountant, have been working into multiple domains, multiple areas. It includes like working on an audit, working on the financial statements, giving our opinion on the financial statements. Are the financial statements reliable, not reliable, right? So this is a overall short summary about what does a CA does, right? And during the conversation, we'll also discuss about the various topics or the things around. So in short, if I say, the CA is more about a journey of a trust, where you'll be acting as a trustworthy party for everyone. Either it's a client, either it's a government, because there will n number of cases where you'll be meeting the government authorities, GST officers, income tax officers as well, right? Plus also the client will also come to you for a lot of trust issues or a lot of trust things, right? So CA is, I generally say, it's more about a trust. Rest apart works is also there, but yes, I feel like it's more about a trust thing, which everyone does or believe it's for that time.
Got it. Thanks, Shivam. Welcome once again. Let me ask you this, Vishal. What would you say the field of CFA is all about?
Yeah, first of all, I like to thank Inside IM team for having me on this esteemed panel along with Shivam and Umang. And then I'll just hope everyone is doing well, even viewers who are watching it. So just talking about CFA, or the whole euphoria around CFA is not something new. When it was new was at the time of, let's say, John Bogle or some of these historical financial pundits, if I'm talking about, right? They were somehow in a meeting, something, they thought that let's have some common designation, common examination which separates investment management specifically from finance. So if you see earlier, most of the fund managers, most of the investment managers, fund houses would have fund managers or analysts who were predominantly from a domain coming from an MBA or an accountant or an engineering background. So they thought that why don't we just mix it up, pick it up from each and everything, cherry picking, right? You have some statistics, you have some mathematics, you have some here and there. It's kind of a masala, and they put it into a curriculum which today is now one of the world's renowned professions, specifically if you're entering into investment management. And that's why you will see a lot of people, which you also pointed out, CA is with respect. So a lot of today's generation are looking CFA and FRM is complementary. if I can talk about from FRM perspective, also financial risk management, that is again deep diving into one specific aspect of investment management, which is risk, which is derivative. So all of these options, which we'll discuss also, in coming period or in the coming time frame about MBA, CA, and CFA, those are just a way of opening your doors towards one avenue. Then you can try, you can work around, because most of this conversation, I'm assuming the people who are looking are very young, right? So they can just tweak it, have a 2 year of experience, then they can jump upon doing MBA, whether from IIM, whether from US, they can do upon CFA and everything upon their liking. So it's CFA specifically, if I can sum up, it's purely focusing relatively on investment management aspect. Also, you'll find a lot of people, IB people doing into it, but it's kind of a core requirement for investment management, especially CFA and FRM.
Got it. Thanks a lot, Vishal. And finally, I'll put the question to you, Umang. What is an MBA all about?
Yeah, thank you, and for having me. So MBA is
Umang, your voice, there's some issue. It's coming across as very robotic at the moment. Okay. Meanwhile, as Umang reconnects, let me ask you this, Shivam. What does somebody who's planning to become a CA, what should they know about what they're going to really learn when they, study? Because it's a long course, it has stages, it takes time. So what is at the core of the CA course? What is it that I'm learning? What will it teach me to do?
Right. So the CA course is divided into the 3 parts. One is a foundation, second is an intermediate, and third is a final stage. Right. So initially, if I talk about the end outcome, which being a chartered accountant, you'll be gonna be learning about. So one is regarding, you'll be able to read the financial statements. You'll be able to understand the financial statements. You'll be able to deep dive the financial statement. First thing is that around. Second thing, you'll be learning the detail about the taxation part. Either it is a direct taxation or like an income tax, indirect taxation like GST, ke GST law kaise kaam kar raha hai and all of the stuff around, right? Third thing, which is gonna be, you'll be learning about how are the laws working, what type of laws are there, like Indian Contract Act, Companies Act, how does a company functions, what are the requirements for directors. So this is the broad overview which you'll be learning around when you're completing with the chartered accountancy course. And of course, once this course is done, you'll be also be aware of all the things or all the, I would say, the areas or domains regarding this fields as well. Say, for example, if I'm a chartered accountant, I'll be able to know how I'm supposed to read a financial statement, how I'm supposed to give an opinion on the financial statements, right? Which generally we call it as a part of a statutory audit. In a similar manner, you'll be also be able to learn or understand how you'll be able to see the controls of the company. Are those controls working effectively or ineffectively, right? And on the basis of that, you can give your opinions on the financial statements, which we generally do in the part of an internal audit of a CA curriculum or CA part. So this is the main end outcome when you're completed or when you're done with the chartered accountancy course. But of course, at a different levels, different stages are there, different topics are there, different subjects are there, which during the course the student is gonna be learning around.
All right, got it. Thanks, Shivam. Umang, you're back. Let's try hearing your voice now. Please become human.
Yeah, you can hear me now?
Yeah. This works. Great. So 2 questions at once to you, Umang. A,
Sure.
What is an MBA all about? And B, when I do an MBA, what is it that I'm really learning? What skills am I building? What's at the core of doing an MBA?
Yeah. So MBA, contrary to CA and CFA, is a generalist degree. It is a post-graduation program, a residential program, which will give you fundamental management knowledge, meaning you'll get a holistic view of the entire business spectrum, encompassing from marketing, finance, accounting, supply chain, and all these along with the vital soft skills and leadership skills. So MBA basically makes you the jack of all trades. And since it's a residential program, you do stay in a campus along with the best of the best minds in the country. So that helps you a lot in peer-to-peer learning, networking, and honing your soft skills and personality development. So that is something that sets MBA apart from other courses.
Got it. And Vishal, if I were to ask you the same question about what lies at the core of learning in terms of a CFA or an FRM, what would your answer be?
Yeah, technically, like, see, I'm coming from a CA background also. So, right. So what happens is CA specifically hones your accounting skills, which is very important, because most of us, if we are investing, whether it's investment banking, investment management, या फिर हम खुद का भी पैसा अगर लगा रहे, right? The first thing we'll see is we'll read the annual reports, financial statements. So the cornerstone for anything would be accounting, and that is something which is of emphasis in CFA level 1. So CFA is categorically categorized to 3 level: level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 predominantly focuses on your basic concepts, accounting, because that's very important. All these investment analysts, equity research, or even the investment bankers who are trying to price an IPO or everything, they deal with evaluation of financial studies. They make a projection and everything. And that encompasses a broad set of subjects, if I may talk. That will be, as I said, a little bit of statistics, little bit of economics, little bit of corporate finance, and etc. All these subjects will come together, and there, and in level 1, the focus will be on accounting aspects, understanding the financial statements. It has the highest weightage. Come level 2, the focus is on equity valuation, because at the end of the day, the heart of CFA is all about equity valuation. It gives you a brief about fixed income and derivative valuation, but honestly, fixed income and derivative is a lot of mathematical as compared to equity valuation. And third is, of course, the core, which is doing your portfolio management. For example, Ocean, you come up with me, you say, Vishal, I have 10 lakh amount of corpus, where do I invest into? And that's where I'll principally apply, because of my experience, because of my knowledge, whatever I've acquired in, whether it is CA, CS, CFA, and FRM, it will help me putting those into practices. So that's all, what you study effectively in CFA, where if somebody comes up with a certain amount of dollar amount of money, whether rupee amount of money, how do you invest in? A basic framework is laid down by the CFA Institute in their subjects and guidelines.
Got it. Thanks, Vishal. And at this point, we have a live question for you. Actually, these are 2 questions, and I want to put them across to you at this point. First is someone asking, is CFA relevant for investment banking? And second is, they say they've seen most CFA USA qualified folks, but who are living in India, spend their time only in stock investments. So is that what the scope of the field is like in India?
So that's not essentially true. If you see, most of I have my friends who have been into IB purely because of CFA designation. And see, we also have to understand that any designation, whether it's a CA, CFA, MBA, is just going to help you land at first place. After that, it's all about your soft skills, your networking, what you built in, whether you're from IIM or if you're from Harvard or INSEAD, it doesn't matter really. But that said, CFA helps in investment banking, but I won't say that you will be able to sail through investment banking purely because of CFA, because you have to understand a concept of relativity, right? If you are a CFA, I'm just a CFA, and there is a Umang who's an IIM graduate, a CA ranker, he will be definitely a preferred candidate because they have laid down quantitative criteria for selecting the students. So you have to also look at the market where you are. It is always relative. It's never absolute in terms of whether only CFA will get the designation, right? Earlier, only people with CA designations used to enter fund management and everything. Today, CFA is like must. Most of the people are pursuing dual degree after CA, which was not something what most people would have perceived 20 years back because of the relative competition that has increased. And that's it. The second part of the question, stock investment. So as I said, investment management is core of CFA. It all talks about how do you learn investing, how do you teach about portfolio management, where do you intend to invest in stocks, because the aim of portfolio management is not to maximize the return for the client. It is to minimize their risk, to build a sustainable wealth. So this is how it differentiates. It helps, but I'll say it all depends on your relativeness, who you are competing with. If you're competing with IIM folks, you need to step up your game, get an MBA from INSEAD or Harvard, and CFA will help in that case for shortlisting of a placement. I think Umang will be better candidate to talk about in terms of placement, whether CFA helps or not. But from whatever limited knowledge I have, it definitely has an edge with additional IIM tags which you will have over the point.
Definitely.
Sure.
And let me open this up to both of you, Shivam and Umang. What are your thoughts in this area? What do you think about the degree playing a role in your growth, opportunities, the kind of progression and trajectory you make in your career?
I think I completely agree with what Vishal said, and I think we should look all 3 of them as complementary degree. I mean, it's not CA versus CFA. If you do both the degrees, it becomes even better. So I think a CA along with a CFA would be one of the best candidates if investment banking or equity research is to be concerned.
Right.
Shivam?
So generally, when this things come around a degree and stuff, so always one example come to my mind. So in our place, we have one dhaba. The dhaba wala earns much more as compared to us, right? So I generally says to myself, यार इसके पास तो कोई degree नहीं है. He's earning 10 times more than what I'm earning, right? So to be honest, degree plays an important role. Yes, it do. But after some extent, degree is like only a base. After that, you need to just perform it. Either it is in terms of a knowledge, either in terms of a skills, either in terms of a, but the important part or important portion is you need to be consistent with whatever things you're doing it. And the day you start performing the things consistently, no one can beat you, right? Say for example, if I am doing the X thing daily or consistent basis, definitely I'll be the master of that. So consistency is very, very important thing. But of course, yes, degree always act as a first leverage or first base to start with.
And while
I
we're
think-
at it, yeah, please,
Yeah,
please.
so like Shivam said, degree will help you get the first job, but post that it all depends on the opportunities that you get, the work that you do, the networks that you meet, and probably the destiny what it has for you. I mean, it also boils down to some bit of luck, the opportunities that you get.
While we're talking about degrees, we have a live question from the audience asking about your thoughts on ACCA and CAIA, if you guys have any.
So, yeah, Shivam, you want to go first?
No, you
Since
take
you are already, mentoring a lot of students with this, I think you will be the right person to go ahead with this.
So ACCA is of a more of a foreign course or a foreign degree around, right? So if you are a qualified CA around, so you'll get a leverage in few of the papers. So you need to, I think, appear 4 of the papers of ACCA. So it's like a foreign version of an Indian CA, right? And it's a globally recognized course if you are willing to do it or if you are willing to look into it. So yes, definitely every course has its own variant depending on the country which it has and which country you're doing into, right? There is a CPA also, CPA Canada, CPA US. It's again variant. It's again different type of variant depending on the type of country or depending on the type of location or depending on the type of courses you're doing into. But the core base is account and finance, which you need to understand it.
Yeah, so
All
I'll
right,
just
great.
take.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I'll
Vishal.
just take on this ACCA thing, and I think CAIA, right? Certified Alternative Investment Analyst. That's what you're. See, with respect to ACCA, which Shivam also added, you get a lot of exemptions post C. And see, we have to be realistic enough in our expectations. It's all right if you don't clear your CA finals. I want to put it on record that it's all right, and you need to have a plan B. And this is where CPA, ACCA comes into play. You can give the examination, you can clear those examinations. The pass rates are quite high as compared to CA, and you can get the same job. It may be relatively less compensatory as compared to your CA designation job, but still you have a designation worthwhile to start your career, to start your life. So please don't get, obsessed. I think obsession is good, but only to a certain extent. You need to be realistic. If you're not able to clear your final examinations, ACCA, CPA, these are things which are going to help you, because let's be honest, not everybody who's getting enrolled in CA is going to finish it, and we need to be softer on ourselves. It's okay if we don't finish it. And next thing, talking about CIA, Certified Alternative Investment Analyst, it's a very new course. If you ask me, I've evaluated myself doing CIA, CMT, and actuarial science and everything. It depends which market you're trying to cater. In India, it is very, very, very necessary, because let's be honest, in India, mutual fund penetration is just 12% of GDP, whereas across the globe, it's 68, 58 somewhere, right? So our basic first public investing in public market has to become a common frame, and then people will move to investing in private market, which CIA specifically deals with. It deals with investing in alternative investments, alternative everything. It's good for a designation point of view if you want to have, but as I said, you need to stay relevant. It depends on the market and everything. So from that perspective, you can evaluate, and you can always have a ACC and CPA as a backup in case you don't clear your CA. Have a plan B, guys. Don't get stuck into that zone. नहीं भाई करना ही है, अपन नहीं कर पाए तो, like Sandeep bhaiya, have a plan B.
Awesome. Thanks, Vishal. And while we're at the question of relevance, there's another live question we've got about the demand that you expect for CFAs. Do you think it's going to rise in the future? What do you think it's going to be like?
Yeah, so I'll take up. Is that fine?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So see, in respect to demand, the opportunity is plenty. Like India has just started the mindset, like most of our fathers, grandfathers, are all savings were restricted either in golds or real estate, right? But nobody used to invest in financial assets. Aaj people have started investing slowly. And as I talked about numbers, only 12% of India's GDP. Whereas if I'm talking about BRICS nation also, South Africa has almost 68%, Brazil has almost 58% of their penetration to mutual funds. So opportunities are going to increase because India is one of the highest saving rates in the world. So जितना पैसा ज़्यादा बचेगा उतना पैसा ज़्यादा पब्लिक निवेश करेगा. As simple theory है, right? And not only CA, you can also look about insurance, which is another financial services sector. Actuarial science will boom according to that. And not only CFA will boom, keep in mind, CA will also continuously boom because of all this financial industry services and everything. And of course, people like Umang from IIM are going to head the top tier institutions. Yeah, Shivam, you can add if you want to add.
No, I think that's it.
All right. Okay. Then I'll move on to you. I'll put this question first to you, Umang. The next question, which is, what is the professional work after you do your MBA like? What's the scope of the work? What is it that you're responsible for right after you graduate from your B school?
So when you graduate from a B school, the opportunities are tremendous. I mean, you can go into finance, investment banking, or consulting, or become a product manager, or go into sales and marketing, or probably go on the operations side. So MBA is a great source if you want to probably do a career shift or explore new domains. So sky's the limit. I mean, as far as opportunities are concerned, once you do an MBA, so you can explore either of these domains and pick one field and go into it. But MBA does give you a platform if you want to do a career shift or explore a new path.
And on these similar lines, we have a live question which asks, CA and CFA gives one an adequate knowledge, but MBA opens doors that even CFA or CA or CFA may not be able to. Do you guys agree, disagree? What are your thoughts?
No, that's true, right? If I'm talking about it's true. Let's be very realistic about what we are talking here, like so that people have a right set of expectations. It's true. It's not going to open plenty of opportunities because the whole thing about MBA, like Umang will be right person again to talk about it. But like he's a all India third ranker in CA and CS. I'm not sure what additional technical knowledge skills are adding, but what he's learning there, how to be fast paced. He's submitting assignments trimester wise trimester. He is meeting deadlines. He's talking to people. Even introvert people need to be extroverts so that they are top of the class. They get a good placement and everything, and that lays a very important foundation in an MBA. Right? This is something which separates. It's not that people from an MBA are highly technical, but they are very presentable as compared to CA, CFA, because most of our curriculum is restricted in those books, and those books never teach about interacting with people, and that you can never learn from book. You can only learn when you are into that competitive environment and zone specifically. So it's true whatever he's saying, that plenty of opportunities are getting open for MBA, but the only caveat is, which I'll still continue to say, is that in that case, as you go it's like pecking order theory, right? As you go down the ladder of ranking for the MBA institutes, you feel like combination of CA and CFA will do much better, even in the long run, even in the short run. And just about MBA, there are a lot of people here, preparing for CAT and everything. I just want to say that it's okay if it doesn't happen. There are MBA opportunities outside India as well. So don't get into, because I have been hearing a lot of stories, people are too possessive about, yaar, hua nahi, ab hua nahi, meri life khatam ho gayi. So there is always a way if we are willing to work out. Umang, if you'd like to add anything about your experience of how it has added.
Yeah, so I completely agree with you that, I mean, it does not make a lot of sense to do MBA from a bottom tier or lower tier institute, because then CA plus CFA combination would be way better than MBA. And I think what separates MBA from CA, etc., is the pedagogy or the method of teaching here. So in an MBA, you are given case studies which are real life business problems which the corporates are facing, and you are divided into groups, and then you brainstorm and discuss among yourself and come out with innovative solutions, and then you present those solutions in the classroom. Just like a pitch deck probably to the CEO of the company. So I think that gives you a lot more practical exposure, which CA curriculum, being a correspondence course, doesn't give you that. It doesn't give you. The second thing is time management. So in an MBA institute, there are so many activities happening at the same time. So you learn how to prioritize and manage everything at the same time. And I think the third aspect is, of course, you become a jack of all trades. So in other courses where you only given exposure in finance, an MBA gives you exposure in almost all the domains, right? From supply chain, we have courses on strategy, we have courses on human resources, organizational behavior, we have courses on finance, then we have courses on marketing. So I think all that makes you a jack of all trades and gives you a bird's eye view of the entire business per se, which helps you look at the larger picture and not restrict yourself to one domain.
Right. Got it. So it's like something that sort of supersedes your learnings from these diverse areas and gives you opportunities that these specific fields may or may not be able to. And with that, I'm curious, what is your day-to-day life working as a CA like? And I'll put this to you, Shivam, because you've been a little absent from the conversation. I'm so sorry.
No.
But I'm curious, you mentioned that we have different stakeholders as CAs to work with the government. Those could be individual people, those could be companies, clients. So what is it, on a day-to-day basis working with these different stakeholders like?
Right. So being into a CA, or once you are qualified CA, there are multiple domains or areas where you'll be working around, right? You can be getting into the practice. You'll be doing a job into the corporates. You'll be into a audit department or a statutory audit, internal audit, taxation department, right? So it's again dependent on the type or the area which you are going into, right? Every domain or every area has its own specialties, and every domain or area has its own sort of work, right? So if I talk about, so my work is completely different from that. So I'm into the teaching domain and the education domain side, right? So if I also worked with the ENY, so I'll just give a brief about what type of work the people in a Big Four do, or what type of work the people do in a statutory audit department. So in a statutory audit department, you need to work around the client. You need to understand the business. You need to see the controls of the client. Are the controls effective, not effective? If the controls are not effective, you need to give a recommendation, suggestions ki kis tarike se how you can improvise the controls, what are the inefficiencies there in the control. Once that is done, you need to audit entire financial statements, looking into the figures around, are the numbers shown in the financial statements are true and correct or not, are they giving a correct picture or not. And basis of that, you need to issue an audit report, being a chartered accountant, right? So once this audit report is done, you have a board meeting around, and during this board meeting you have a discussion with all of the stakeholders. Okay, what was the performance around, what went well, didn't went well, right? So this is a typical job of a person, those who have been working in a statutory audit department. Yes, there are again multiple domains or multiple areas which a CAs can work into. And yes, nowadays also people are moving into the new role, FP&A role, right? So earlier MBA guys were there into the FP&A role, but slowly and steadily many of the chartered accountants have been also moving into that domain also. So yes, it's dependent on the type or area or the domain which you get into once you become a chartered accountant. Just a small example: if you are into getting into corporate, many of the chartered accountants have been working for the company in which they are analyzing the data. They are preparing a monthly MIS reports and submitting them to the stakeholders or submitting them to the auditors as well. So yes, this is the major role which a chartered accountant is working into. So I covered two areas. If time permits, we'll also cover at the end of the session what type of areas or different domains CA can work into.
Definitely. And since Vishal and Umang, you're both CAs as well, what would your take on the question be? And if you could also answer this in comparison to other roles. For instance, Umang, if you could take up CA, working this thing of a CA in comparison to a CS or an MBA. Vishal, you could take up that in comparison to a CFA or an FRM. That would be helpful. And whoever wants to go first, please.
Umang, you want to go first?
Sure.
Yep.
So, like I said, I mean, MBA, you do have a lot of options, right? From marketing, consulting, finance, product manager, or probably a gen man role. So, from that perspective, MBA, the work of MBA would depend upon the domain or the field which you're choosing out of the B school. Whereas CA, as like Shivam mentioned, would probably work in the statutory audit team or the taxation team, or probably in an FP&A role in a corporate. So I think these are the three main areas that I see for a chartered accountant. Vishal, if you'd like to add.
Yeah, so I just want to break this kind of myth, that mentality we people associate specifically with our CA designation, that we are doing just accounting MBA. Over the time, things have evolved. Like 10 years back, 10 years back, there was nothing as FITS, right? Today we have this so-called term as forensic investigation and dispute services. And I'm telling you, like, if I had to go back 4 years back and just join a FITS, their pays are phenomenal, if I'm talking about it. So there will be always new set of opportunities which will come up, like for forensic investigations. There are internal audits. Now, most of these companies are having internal audits specifically. In taxation, if you're specialized, the specialization itself is direct tax, indirect tax. Indirect tax goes into GST, whether you're doing central tax or other, I don't know, I'm not a tax expert, but if I'm talking about some of my friends, they are placed in IT companies, they are placed in consulting firms, they are placed in, doing a traditional CA practice. Some of them are placed as a retail bank channel about it. So we need to understand, at the end of the day, CA is something who helps you in understanding the numbers. And after that, you can build with MBA, with CFA and everything. But CA will always remain that base if you're really, looking for a great career, kind of a path break. And over the point in time, as things evolve, new set of rooms will continue. Like, we might continue to think that audit is something which is continued still now, right? It started so many years back, it's still there. But there are people who don't like audit. They are doing FITS, they are doing internal audit, they are doing tax, there are departments which specializes just in transfer pricing. Like, that itself talks about how vast this area is. So don't go with that mindset. My only thing is, don't go with that mindset that यार CA है ना तो सिर्फ audit ही करेगा. वैसा नहीं है. Let it come to you naturally. Let it come to you, and then you take a call. I mean, most of these guys who are saying this are very young relatively. This is with respect to CA, and if I'm comparing with respect to CFA, it's all about most of these CFAs are also employed as the investment banker. They are doing merchant banking deals, IPO listings, private valuations for the venture capitalist. In my role capacity here, I'm developing a product which is ETF, which is a new product itself for the Indian market. Passive side, there are equity research, fundamental and analysts dealing in and out about companies. There are credit rating agencies which want CFA guys, specifically being part of it, because there are some rules and they will continue to exist which are very technical in nature, and you need to know that nuances specifically I'm talking about.
Right. Got it. And at this point, we have a lot of live questions pouring in. I'll distribute them to you like an AI.
They didn't expect that, right, Shivam?
So, quick question to Umang Gupta. Is corporate finance role offered at IIM Bangalore?
So, yeah, finance roles are definitely offered. You do have all the big FMCG companies, or for that matter, companies of different industries who do offer corporate finance, FP&A roles at all the big B schools. So I think, again, you do get a diverse exposure, especially in a top B school.
Got it. So that's a yes to your answer, whoever asked. Next is, if a law student wants a career in finance, what should he do in his 5 years of law school with plans of an MBA afterwards?
Join IIM. He'll get a first preference among selection among all other candidates.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, IIMs do look for that diversity, and a law student would definitely add to the diversity. So that's a good option if he's genuinely interested to get into finance, do a career path shift from law to finance. I think MBA is the only solution to that.
So what does he do in law school? Prepare for CAT?
Prepare for CAT and probably work on his CV, get some PORs or some extra colleagues. And I think the number one criteria should be get a good CAT score, and it'll be good to go.
Jokes aside, he can make a great career in finance because he has a law, and today you are witnessing plenty of lawsuits, right? Tax litigation, civil litigations, SEBI is throwing adjudications across the boards for the companies and everything. And trust me, if you get a basic, just 2 years MBA will help you to sail through entire career with this law. You are going to stand out. If I'm assuming 5-year law, he's talking about, GLU, National Law College, University or something. Just crack a CAT, you'll make it big.
Awesome. Simple formula. Next question we have is it possible to get into IB investment banking after working in a corporate, after working in, a corporation for a few years? I mean, you can choose to say no
Yeah.
if you're not sure, but I mean,
So I'll help some of my friends because I've come with 4 or 5 years of industry experience in finance. Yes, they can if you have a specific relevant corporate experience. That's important to have a relevant corporate experience, right? If you are into, let's say, corporate restructuring in an organization, so like corporates have their M&A teams, specifically M&A teams, you can definitely get into an IB or vice versa specifically. So the option is open, but it's important to have a relevant experience. Like if you're working in an FPA, then the probability shrinks of getting into an IB. So that is very important to know.
Got it. Then there's someone who wants to pursue a career in equity and derivative market, and they're planning to do an MBA and CFA. Is this desirable? Is this accurate? What are your thoughts?
So I think that's a very good option. Even I'm pursuing my CFA. I'll be giving my CFA level 2. So even MBA and CFA can coexist, and it's a very good opportunity. You do get great shortlist if you are a CFA at a B school. So that adds to your CV and gives you a leverage while placements are concerned. So that's a
Got it.
good option.
Right. So Umang is not happy with CA, CAIR 3. Abhi CFA mein bhi aayega. Next, we have another question, which is it better to do CFA before MBA?
टाइम कहाँ से लाओगे इतना? My first question is, you're talking about completing 3 levels, even if you're doing, like, I have known my friends who have done CFA and they have entered into, like, Akshay himself is a poster boy of that, right? CA, CFA, FRM, and at IMK, and getting shortlisted at most of these top BCG consultings and everything. So you can do that, but be realistic about it, right? Because you're going to spoil a lot of things if you're not good at multitasking. And let's admit what we are not good at, because that is very important. Self-awareness is most important, and being a teacher, I think Shivam will be able to add more light on that aspect than us.
Right. So I generally believe that first you need to decide which area or domain interests you, and then you need to pursue. Most of the students I have seen these days have moved towards कि नहीं degree लेना है इसलिए कर रहे हैं, but just see the end outcome, what you're gonna be getting and how you can capitalize it, right? And then you should move and choose to the degree or the area where you want to get into.
Also, adding to Shivam's point, at least in my batch, I see a lot of people who've done 1 or 2 levels of CFA before coming to a B school. So even that's a good option. I mean, you don't need to complete the entire CFA before joining an MBA. Even 1 or 2 level before an MBA would be good enough. And you can complete the CFA during your 2 years at a B school.
Got it. Next question. Why till date MBAs are given upper hand as compared to CAs when it comes to management consulting?
Presentable, right?
No, so I would like to add on one thing around. So in 2019, one of the research was done by LinkedIn stating that what is the one common skill which every person should have? And the skill was a communication and a presentation skill, right? So go anywhere, you need to be communicate, you need to be very good at communication, right? So even if the people who is at CEO or CFO level are indirectly a salesman of a company, to be honest, right? Because at the end of the day, they need to communicate to stakeholders, they need to communicate to their board members, they need to communicate to employees. So you need to be very good at communications. So few things we are not good at communications. Yes, that's the, I would say, honest truth. But yes, that things B schools or MBA schools definitely teaches around to the MBA guys. I think Umang can add on more around this.
Yeah. So another point is the concept of depth versus breadth. So in a specialized course like CA, you do have the expertise of one domain, that is finance or accounting or taxation. But MBA would give you a breadth of almost all the domains, like we discussed, marketing, supply chain, etc. So you are able to see the larger picture doing an MBA. You are able to get a bird's eye view of the entire organization. So I think that is what consultants actually need. An experience or an understanding of different industries, different domains, so which a generalist course like a MBA would be able to provide better.
Right, got it.
I'll just
And-
add one more
Yeah.
quickly a point on this. See, it's also about the supply and demand. So most of the CAs, it's only that 1% who have that urge of doing a consulting otherwise. Because after 5 years of studies, people are like, hey, ab simple.
I think it's Vishal's internet.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
For them, they
Meanwhile,
want, as Ume pointed out, various industry experience and everything. So CAs after, let's say, 3 years, 5 years, it's very tough for them. So what we are talking about, it's just that 1%, top 1% of the people. If I
Vishal, if you can hear me, we can't hear you very well. You might want to,
Yeah.
meanwhile, as we take up next questions, you might want to see what's wrong with the internet.
Yeah, I'm able to hear you guys.
Okay, we weren't. So your video paused in the
Okay.
middle, but so you might want to fix
Sorry.
that. Meanwhile, I'll come to Shivam. So Shivam and Umang, common questions. Can BCom graduates become investment bankers? What do you guys think about doing a CMA? Any thoughts on these two?
So CMA is more about management accounting. I would say it's more about a costing front, right? And so to be honest, courses directly or indirectly more or less same like a CA. But yes, in CMA you focus more on a costing front, right? And once you are done with that, you get a more roles into a costing domain or a cost accountant, right? So that's an advantage of doing a CMA. And what was the second question? So sorry, I forgot.
The second question had to do with IB. So somebody was asking, can BCom graduates become investment bankers?
I think Vishal is the right person to answer this.
Umang will able to throw more light because of the cohort he is in with. But from my limited experience, if it is from a reputed institute, you have done a BCom from SRCC, and top 25, top 30 elites, there is no stopping for becoming an IB. To do a BCom, because I have known guys who are directly into BC, IB from SRCC and everything. So remember guys, the quality of institution matters a lot for your undergrad when you're talking about it.
Yeah. So adding to Vishal's point, I think directly as a BCom graduate, you might not get a front-end investment banking role. So probably if you would want to do a post-graduation and MBA or something, and then the opportunities for investment banking will increase tremendously.
At this point, we have some questions that we've already answered. So is CFA alone enough? Questions on degrees, their relevance, ideal time to do an MBA, can I do CFA, aage, piche? All these things, guys, we've covered. So you might want to scroll back around 20-25 minutes after the video started. We were talking about this. You'll get your answers there. Then we have someone wanting us to talk about MBA and jobs abroad after MBA. So we'll have to do a separate live on that. You might want to subscribe so you get a notification when I do that live. And next question is someone who's in their class 12 and they want to get into investment banking. How would be CFA then MBA in finance? How would a CFA and MBA in finance be if they want to get into investment banking? They're in class 12th right now.
Class 12 के हिसाब से pressure ज़्यादा है. Just kidding. Umang, if you can take it, I think you are the right person to talk about.
Yeah. So again, if you are in standard 12th, I mean, probably you can explore doing a CA, or simultaneously you can do 1 or 2 levels of CFA, and then you might get an opportunity as a CA fresher to get into investment banking. That is one path. Or probably if you want, you can then again do a post graduation in MBA from a top tier institute, and then get into investment banking. So it all depends upon the opportunities that you get and the institutes from where you're doing the MBA.
Got it. So now, like I said, we have a lot of questions and limited time. So I'm going to only have one person. I'm not going to let all of you speak anymore. I'm so sorry. but we just want to make sure everybody gets their answers. So then here it is. What skill can CA or CFA acquire to be competitive in the finance industry as much as somebody from an IIM is after their MBA? So I'm not taking names. Whoever feels most confident, please go ahead.
Can you just repeat the question?
Yeah, so somebody who's not from an IIM or is doing a CA or a CFA, what can they do to build enough competence to compete with a IIM MBA? So Umang, do you want to take this up?
Yeah. So again, like Vishal and Shivam had said earlier, all these tags of an IIM will only help you get the first job. Apart, post that, it's only about the your caliber, your competence, the work that you're doing, the networks that you're building, which matters. So it's just a myth that a CA or a CFA cannot excel in the finance field or cannot do well in investment banking. Of course, many famous investment bankers are chartered accountants. So I would like
Got
to
it.
put that myth.
Got
Right.
it.
And also,
Yeah.
also just to add on, at that time, the students or the people should work on their skill development, because nowadays, just a small example, uh, no one is expert about a blockchain, as in there's no proper institute about a blockchain, but still the people, those who are skilled, are working on that and doing a research around it. So it's more about a skill which people nowadays are looking into instead of a knowledge or degree or a tag. Second thing, please do work on your communication skills, because that is one of the most important skills which B school guys are taught of. And third is a networking and networking skills which you should build around. So these things, I think the people should work around.
Got it. Got it. Thanks, Shivam. Our next question is, should I do a CFA or an MBA in a tier 2 college? Perhaps they only have these two choices at this point and they're considering which is better for someone who's completed their graduation.
So again, I would like to take this as two different options. I mean, it's not either or. You can probably do both, and it's not. I mean, if you're willing to take CAT once more, and if you're confident that you'll be able to get a better college, I would suggest that probably you can take 1 year break and then give CAT again and try and get into the top IIMs. And in the meanwhile, you can probably continue doing the levels of CFA that you're doing. So it's not either or. I mean, both of them should coexist. Is what I think.
Got it. What roles do CAs get in general management in the long run?
Okay, general management, as in, so during the 5 year curriculum, what we have been taught around, right? So during the second level, once the second level is done, the CAs are supposed to do an internships, right? Internship is around of a three years period, and during those internship, what role or what things you have worked around, based on that, the company gives you a role. See, internships can be either in a statutory audit, internal audit, tax audit, bank audit, or it can be related to the compliances portion, it can be related to the consulting portion. Depending on the type of internships you do, depending on the type of experience you have, the companies try to hire you based on your internships done. That is the first thing. Second thing, if on an average, I would say, so majorly you'll be part of a finance team, right, where you'll be looking after the as portion or few work of the company, right? Either it can be related to preparation of financial statement, account receivable department, account payable department. So again, it's dependent on the area or the domain which you have majorly worked on during your internships. So yes, please do choose your internship wisely.
Got it. Thank you. Next question is, a CS student always fascinated about going into core finance, but not sure what actual work is going to be. So before pursuing CFA, should I obtain a certificate like NISM?
See, and NISM is going to merely help you get an internship through any small stockbrokers or something kind of that. So, but it's not a permanent solution. So, if you're looking for a permanent solution, you need to have a better designation that lands you a job at a better firm rather than being just an equity dealer or just being at a stockbroker or something like that. Go for a permanent solution rather than a temporary solution.
Got it. Finances. So can a FRM certified person with no work experience get a job in risk management in India?
Definitely, if you're with most of these banks, internal banks, they have a risk department. They clearly value risk. See, any designation, guys, just pitch in at the right place. You will be valued. Just pitch in at the right place. You will be valued, whether it's CA, CFA, MBA, FRM, or any of that.
Right. Next question is, finance is such a big field. Where can we start?
You in a course or see, you can start with any of the domain, but whatever domain you start with, just remember the golden rule: be an expert of it or be an master of it wherever you are doing it, right? So this is the rule which you should follow up.
Try to specialize in the long run. That's it.
CFA for asset management versus IB versus PE.
Otherwise, asset management will come first, IB will come second, and third will be PE.
Is doing MBA after BSc Mathematics better?
Again, if you want a career shift, a change in the career path, you want to explore more domains, then MBA is a good solution.
What is in the FRM?
It talks only about the risk. So let's say there is a subject in CFA which is derivative. That one subject which is only 10% of CFA, FRM is 100% of that. Financial risk, credit risk, market risk, anything associated with financial risk, FRM covers it entirely.
So it's a super specialization in risk management.
Yeah.
Is FRM a standalone course in India?
Not unless you're pitching it into right places, which is risk department, and risk departments are very few in India if I'm talking about.
A CA final asking, my doubt is CA only sufficient for better career in investment banking?
भाई फाइनल के पढ़ाई पे ध्यान दे, ये सब छोड़ दे अभी. Just relax, clear your CA in first attempt or second attempt, third attempt, whatever it is, chill. You have time.
How relevant is certification courses? Do recruiters consider them as a good achievement?
It's again, again dependent on the type of course you are doing, but they definitely do check out ki are you able to, or have you learned something around it or not, right? आप चाहे कहीं से भी course कर लो, it doesn't matter, but important part is, are you able to implement it or are you able to execute it or not? So they try to test that.
Right. Umang, you were saying something?
So they are just an add-on, like a 5 to 10% add-on on your CV, but they cannot be a substitute to a core degree like a CA, CFA, or MBA.
How to become hedge fund manager?
Quants by quants, statistics, mathematics, computer programming. That's how the hedge fund managers make money, and they are able to earn. This finance and everything are very good for doing public market, private markets. But beyond that, hedge funds, they only make money. If you look, top hedge fund managers, all are PhD in computer science, PhD in mathematics, something that quants and nerds do. That's all.
Vishal sir, CA rank or CA plus CFA, what is more valued as per you by our, this is a question by Akshay.
Sir, I'll always say choose what you want to do. Like I decided I want to go into investment management. I completed my CFA first and that was my priority. मतलब रैंक आ जाता तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं, अब रैंक आया नहीं है तो इसलिए ऐसा बोल रहा हूँ.
Can a FRM certified with no work, this has been answered. What a CA plus MBA holds for him, like why should one do it? Okay.
So a CA with an MBA generally, which I see from the trend in my B school, is they generally get into either consulting, which is the management consulting, the McKinsey's, BCG's, Bain of the world, and the other general common domain is investment banking or equity research. So CAs with MBAs go into either of these two.
Got it.
Generally.
What role profiles are offered by investment bankers? Currently, I'm pursuing CA and CFA.
You'll see, basically you'll start as an analyst, right? Then you become an associate. So the initial role, you're not going to be front facing and directly going for a client, and unless you're coming from IM. Most of the times you start with mid office, you prepare the pitch book, pitch decks, and etc. And then over the point, guys, it's all about the experience. It's not the designation, it's about the experience that takes you far ahead in your career.
What is better option after CA?
Depends on the area you want to expertise or area you want to get into. So there are many CAs, those who don't have an additional degree, but they are a CA or CFO of the top-notch companies, right? So it's again depend on the area you want to get into.
Got it.
Most CFOs in Indian corporates are only CAs. So just note that fact.
Right. And that brings me to our original questions, the one we had decided to talk about, which is what does a career for a CA, a CFA or MBA look like in the long term? Also in the medium term. So 3 to 5 years, 20 years, 25 years, quick thoughts. Everybody, whoever wants to start, please go ahead.
Right. So for a CA, if you talk about if you're in a big four, after 3 to 4 years, you'll be a manager in that organization. After 10 years, 15 years down the line, you'll be in a director's position. And after around 20 odd years, you'll be in a partner's position where you'll be signing the balance sheet of the top-notch companies as well. So this is in terms of a Big Four. Again, it's purely dependent on the area you are working into. If you're having your own practice, you're the boss of your own from the day one, right? If you're into working into the jobs, it's again dependent on the type of work you're doing and the I would say कि कैसे काम कर रहे हो. So it's dependent on that how would be a growth path would be. But yes, there are many CAs who are CEO or CFOs within a period of 10 to 15 years down the line.
Vishal, what would you say as far as FRM CFA is concerned?
Yeah, see, clear trajectory is you start with equity research analyst, product analyst, you become a product manager, you will become a fund manager. And this gestation period I'm talking about is big, right? 7 to 8 years. There is slow turnover in mutual fund industry. And ultimately, you'll become a co-head of a portfolio manager. You will become ultimately a CIO, you will become a CEO or of an AMC. At any point in time, what is important is to continue to learn, to adapt whatever changes are coming in, right? Today, computer programming is essential. You have to because we are talking 25 years down the line, and artificial intelligence is the biggest thing that is going to happen. So prepare yourself for that kind of thing so that you're not redundant.
Finally, the question about relevance. While we've established that doing more degrees out of the 5 we have in the house, while doing more of them may help, if you were to compare them individually, who would you say should go for a CA, CFA, FRM, CS? Did I miss something? And who shouldn't?
I think Umang wants to add on.
So according to me, I think CA is the first degree. I mean, that is what my personal opinion is. CA is the first degree. That is the core degree which a person in finance, if he wants to career in finance, then CA is the first thing then he should do. Then CFA would be an add-on. I mean, you can do it along with CA if you especially want to get into investment banking or equity research. And then post that, you can probably work for 1 or 2 years. And then if you want a career switch or to move into a new domain, you can probably do an MBA after 1 or 2 years of working as a CA, especially if you want to move out of the core CA roles.
Right.
Shivam, Vishal, please go ahead.
So I generally call this concept as a finding your Lela, to be honest. But so it's like the domain or area you want to start into. So if it's more of a finance, so CA is generally a base or a core, which I also feel like. And depending on that, after the domain or area where you want to expertise into, either it's IB or if you want a new start into the different domains, then you can go for an MBA. But yes, the basic core, which a chartered accountant degree is going to be giving you, and understanding about the numbers and number crunching. So CA degree is the core base, which I feel. After that, you can decide on the basis of the domain or area you want to get into.
Yes, so I'll just quickly add one thing. You can start always with the CA, but in case if you're not able to finish it, guys, switch. Even after doing IPCC, I have heard guys who are rankers at IIM Ahmedabad. So it is not going to define you whether you're failing or you're not able to clear a successful attempt. Second, if you identify yourself that you're very extrovert, you're good at extracurricular, do BCom from a good institute and crack CAT. That will save more time for you, and potentially you will earn higher. And third, if you want to really get into investment management, specifically asset management thing or hedge fund kind of stuff, you will need CFA. Come today or tomorrow or maybe 5 years down the line, but you will need it. So just keep that in context.
Right. And quick thoughts, guys, on FRM and CS as well. Where do they come in the picture? Who should or shouldn't do them?
Yes, so I'll talk about FRM quickly. FRA standalone designation, unless and until you want to pursue in the very specific role, you are very clear about it. You know that risky karna hai mujhe, because you won't be able to switch from risk management department to a treasury or something else. It's a very niche role. So be specific. You are okay with it, then go for it. You'll get paid good. I think for the CS, I'll just add. law is the next big thing in India. Most of the companies will become corporate accountability will be next big thing. You'll find a lot of companies hiring multiple company secretaries in their offices, and this will be something. If you're not good at maths, if you're not good at statistics, if you're not good at economics, accountings, it's all right, guys. There are opportunities in form of a CS which will take you places where you actually intended to go.
So, Umang, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I think Vishal summed up it pretty well.
All right.
I'll just have one say on behalf of I think all panelists that guys, don't pressurize yourself in chasing all these three things. It's okay if you're not able to clear anything. It's okay. Talk to your friends, talk to your families. They are there for you. Always on always. Please don't, take pressure. And you guys are 22, 24. There is a lot of life ahead. So let's not pressurize ourselves. And it's okay to not clear anything. You will not be educated as a failure in your life, and we all three are there. We have failed in our life in some point in time.
Right. To add on, it's very important. Yeah, kuch bhi karo, whatever you do, right? Do with your 100%, right? And try to be a master of one thing, right? So it's very important. Whatever degree you do, either you do BCom, BBA, CA, CFA, MBA, right? Just try to be a master of that. And once you do the thing in a consistent manner, trust me, no one can stop you from achieving the miles, right? So I've been working in the two startups, my own startups, right? We have been consistently working. So it's again helping us out. It again helping us out to grow, right? So it's very, very important for you guys to do whatever you do in a consistent manner. Do not think you have failed. See, everyone fails in a life, but it's important to learn from a failures. So yes, just be consistent, and if you feel anything, you can also do reach out to us as well, right? We'll be happy to help you out in any sort of manners.
And I think don't run in the rat race of getting degrees, positions, jobs, designations. I mean, it's also about exploring you yourself. I mean, what do you like to do? All these salaries, job titles will be meaningless if you don't enjoy your day-to-day work. So I think you need to also take out some time, introspect, explore who you are as a person, what do you like, and then move forward accordingly.
Thank you so much. Very, very informative, insightful, both. Thanks so much, guys, for coming in, sharing your thoughts, giving us the time. I hope this has been helpful to all those who've been watching. If yes, please give us your feedback. Let us know what else you would like us to cover in these live conversations. And it'll be great to just hear from you your thoughts, questions, so we can answer them going forward. Just want to really thank you, Shivam, Vishal, and Umang. Once again, it's been great having you on the channel. And just thanks so much for your time. I'll see you guys soon. And to the audience, I'll see you next Thursday. Thank you so much, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Be safe. Be safe. Take care.
Thank you.
And over here.
And